You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech, featuring a weekly roundup of tech news and gossip. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech.
What's up? Welcome to Geek Nerd Tech, the show we break down nerd culture and geek culture from a black tech perspective. No, that's not right. I'm Joe Braswell. I'm joined as always by Akili Shine. What's happening, Akili?
What's good, man?
How you doing?
Chilling, man. Just ready to get into the show, man. Talk about all this Comic-Con stuff. What you got?
Man, Comic-Con 2014. So we all know every year San Diego has something called San Diego Comic-Con, where all of the world's, all the geeks and nerds of the world converge in one lovely place. And not just the geeks and nerds, but a lot of gigantic media companies and studios and television companies and everyone. We talked about this last year, but it's really more of a pop culture convention than it is it's more of a pop culture convention than it is a comic book convention.
Yeah, it's becoming less and less more of a comic book convention than ever.
Now there's still, but this year I attended this year, and it was great. It was very, the one thing I will say is, just sort of as a media guy, and as a fan, it was very sameish. It felt like. Oh, back at Comic-Con. NBC has the one spot still. What used to be the Dracula Cafe is now the Blacklist Cafe. And then, Sony has their spot. And, out in and around San Diego, Sci-Fi has the giant cafe at the Hard Rock, promoting a different show. It's starting to feel a little, I don't know. How you go, when you're in Vegas, you kind of go to Vegas and there's the Mirage, and then there's the and although it's very comfortable, it still feels very corporate from what it used to be back when I was young in the 30s. If Comic-Con's feeling very much like that on the outside, and then on the inside, all the vendors, everyone's sort of in the same space, right? So I can really have a blindfold and go to all the exact same vendors as we did last year, and they're all there, from big to small. The Warner Brothers booth, the NES booth.
So you're saying it's formulaic?
It is formulaic, and I felt like I really feel like that was really sort of interested to carve out a unique experience this time around. And obviously the players are somewhat different in terms of the wares that the studios are rolling out and the networks are rolling out. And there's also different individuals hawking different comic books and different things there, but for the most part, it's very sameish. And I don't know. I don't want to start this podcast on like a sort of a bleak, not a bleak note, but sort of a downer note. But maybe I just had trade show fatigue.
I mean, I've kind of heard that. I didn't go to Comic-Con this year, but just reading the reviews from friends and just blogs, it seems like that's kind of accurate. Like, it doesn't seem there was really like an evolution or a progression or anything additional, I guess, reward of going. Like, it seemed like it was just the same old, just different shows or different movies coming out this year. But
right.
But the format, the setup, the experience was very similar. So
it's very sameish. And unless you're media, or unless you can get into the Hall H's of the world, it is. Your specific experience is very much. I don't know. It's very, very limited to, to the outside. And the outside is always the same. So I don't know. I just at a glance, my experience was whatever. Now, all that being said, I still had a great time. I'm still a nerd, and I still want to go and do it. What I found myself doing this time, though, I did spend a lot. The reason I went this big long rant about that, because you mentioned that it's no longer the comic book convention that it once was. I actually jumped in and spent a lot of time in the comic book sections, and I really went and saw a lot of the books, a lot of the old books, a lot of the new books, and I met my man DMC from Run DMC, which was a life highlight for me. You know, took a picture, talked to him for a minute. He has actually, of course, who doesn't, has a comic book coming out, in DMC. But
I read that a lot of vendors are unhappy with, I guess, the popularization of Comic-Con. Like, they feel it's being too commercialized, and they feel like the amount of resources it requires for them to get that vendor space is not really rewarding, you know, the promotion for their product or the financial reward. And so a lot of them are saying that maybe more of a niched version of Comic-Con or a smaller size version of Comic-Con is more effective for their business.
Yeah.
And they're saying, like, hey, it's become just too popular now.
Well, I think you hear that. This is one of the things you kind of hear every year, where it's like, it's the same sort of conversation every year, which is something to the effect of, you know, there should be a pop culture convention, and then there should be a comic book convention, you know, and then maybe we can do them on, maybe spend the first 2 days, even 3 days on media, and 1 day that's only comic books or whatever that is. I don't know, but that's, or have them separately. But and also, last thing I'll say on this, and we'll move on to some specifics in terms of the goings on of Comic-Con, which was a lot. The placement too, you know, in the middle of the hall, the C section, if you will, you do have Warner Brothers and all these big sort of companies, and then where Hall H is, you have some other large companies, but then over in the A's, way down there, it's where, like, it seems like that's where all the comics are now, and they're kind of all sort of regulated off into the corner, you know, which is all the vendors, you know, all the comic book sellers and all the collectible people. So I did get that feeling of, you know, and then also you have a huge video game presence. And we talked about E3, you know, us coming back from E3, you had a huge video game. A lot of those same video game folks, Xbox is a gigantic presence there, and so as is Nintendo. I
mean, you got to think too, like, from the vantage point of San Diego as a city, and just, you know, the popularizing Comic-Con, because of bringing in these big networks and brands and all that stuff, you know, brings so much money to the city. And if the focal point wasn't on all the NBCs and CBSs of the world, you know, all that revenue wouldn't be garnered by the city.
Right.
So I think for that perspective too, like if it was just Comic-Con, if it was just comic book focused, you wouldn't have that amount of traffic.
Right.
So.
Well, all that being said, some ish did go down at the con. I mean, there was some pretty cool things in it that did happen. And I guess, you know, there's a lot of interesting stories about sort of the winners and losers of Comic-Con. But, you know, one of the things that, I mean, well, let's go down the list here, some of the cool things that happened. Let's talk first about, you know, the Warner Brothers sort of, the Warner Brothers, it's actually taking the DC Comics thing where Zack Snyder came out to talk about Dawn of Justice, and he did it in the sort of the, you know, came out and he brought out everyone. He brought out Henry Cavill, he brought out Ben Affleck, and he brought out Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and that was kind of cool to see Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman all together. And that was like a big sort of cool moment. And then they released this dope ass photo of Wonder Woman, which is still up, which is this beautiful form of Gale as Wonder Woman, she is looking dope. And you know, I wasn't really sold on her initially, but I see her. That's kind of the Amazon. I don't think that's the final costume, but that's like the Amazon Wonder Woman before she, you know, starts being a superhero, I imagine. But yeah, with the sword and the kind of, you know, I believe it. I like it. But then they had a little bit of teaser footage of like Superman and Batman staring each other down. And, you know, for all the talk of sad Batman and Henry Cavill's, you know, whack Superman in the first one, they turned me around on this one. I'm excited. I'm back.
For sure.
Well, I mean, what do you think is just what you read and know?
I mean, we covered, you know, this movie coming out on the show before. So, I mean, I'm excited to see, you know, these two worlds collide, these two superheroes, you know, collaborate or whatever on screen. And yeah, I mean, I think it'll be an explosive, entertaining experience.
Right.
But yeah, I could only imagine, you know, being in Hall H and seeing, you know, them kind of unveil, you know, things that we just read in the blogs. It would be very exciting and invigorating and thrilling. So, I mean, just, yeah, the mock-ups, the pictures that I've seen, and just, you know, the pretty much like this is one of the top things that happened at Comic-Con.
Yeah,
and
so
so
that-
I mean, I think yeah, this is going to be huge.
Well, this is surprising. I mean, there's been all these studies of like what's been the most talked about, what's been the most tweeted about and talked about, and there's all these metrics on that. And surprisingly, Batman versus Superman was #1, and that's a shocker to me, and also a shocker to folks at Marvel because they were pretty sure that Age of Ultron, which made a big splash, had the entire cast. They will talk about this later, but they unveiled a lot of stuff, and that was #4,
Right
behind. This was #1. Teen Wolf was #2. Do you watch Teen Wolf?
I do not. I will not.
Stephen Lemieux, do you watch Teen Wolf?
No, but we have a great after show here at AfterBuzz TV.
That's
our
what I hear.
sister network.
That's what I hear. That's Sister Network. Apparently, Teen Wolf is a big effing deal because that was the #2 most talked about thing at Comic-Con, and that's shocking. And then
I thought Game of Thrones took the #2 spot in terms of the social media presence and mentions.
You know what? You're right. The Game of Thrones is #2. Teen Wolf's #3. I misspoke. I'm sorry. I admit that. And then Walking Dead, and then Age of Ultron. You're absolutely right. But still, Teen Wolf's #3 over Age of Ultron. That's still something. Anyway, so I'm very much looking forward to this. Let's talk about some of that. There's been a lot of talk about some of the winners and losers of Comic-Con and everything. I'm going to go through one of the big things at Comic-Con were like the unveiling of all these sort of comic book TV shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had so many of these, and they were like all well received. I mean, you had obviously, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Arrow, but Fox unveiled Gotham.
Right.
Which looks incredible. So the early days of Gotham City with a young Commissioner Gordon and a young Bruce Wayne and a young Harry Cobblepot, that's a Penguin, and Poison Ivy and Selena Kyle as Catwoman, and so it was really kind of cool to see. That looks really good. I'm not really a fan of these kind of origins shows, but I'd watch the hell out of that. It's a Fox show, so that looked really good.
I think that is kind of like the highlight of Comic-Con 2014 is that a lot of the superheroes, comic book heroes are now beginning to get some shine on the second screen, the smaller screen, the television. Like
Right.
yeah, we see the proliferation in movies and big blockbuster films, but now you're seeing multiple TV shows that kind of showcase this culture.
Right.
So I think that is exciting to show the progression of that in a different media arena that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and then Flash also looks incredible. Gotham, Flash, Constantine on NBC, iZombie. So a lot of comic movies. I mean, a lot of comic book TV shows. Another big winner, which was my hands down favorite thing of all of Comic-Con, is the Mad Max Fury Road reveal. That thing. And I'm a big Road Warrior guy. I'm a big Mad Max trilogy guy. Big George Miller guy. But man,
So excited.
man. I mean, have you seen this trailer?
Yeah, stop.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's everything you want it to be. It's back. Sort of reminds me of really the Road Warriors, the definitive movie where they did all that stuff. Where you're like, how did 9 people not just get killed with their face right next to the tire going 100 miles an hour? And they're kind of doing that. And it looks very practical effects, just like the old. It doesn't look like a lot of CGI.
right.
So I don't know. That was the big winner for me. People talked about Outlander. Another guy who made a big splash there, and I can never say his name, but Chuck Palahniuk, the author of Fight Club, he was there, and he was like rock star status, bumping around. He has a Fight Club sequel that he did in a graphic novel form, Fight Club 2, that Dark Horse is doing, and it was also a big hit. And then. Let's see. Age of Ultron made a big splash, as we talked about. In Age of Ultron, they roll out the whole. Kevin Marvel and Kevin Feige roll out the entire cast of Age of Ultron, which is dope, including the new cast members Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen and my man whose name I can't remember, but the dude plays Kick-Ass. He's going to be Quicksilver, and then they rolled out Josh Brolin as Thanos, which is crazy, and James Spader, and it was a lot, and it was very cool, and they did a lot of stuff, and they had a great signing at the Marvel booth, which was pandemonium. And all that was really good to see, and Robert Downey Jr. was funny and cool, and I think a lot of that stuff is still online minus the footage. And like I said, I don't know if it's a question of oversaturation, over penetration. But the fact that what I thought would be the hugest splash was number 4.
Yeah.
You know, was I don't know what that says because
I mean, it's a crapshoot. I think it really rests with, I guess, presentation and just how the flow and energy of the Comic-Con is, like what people gravitate to. Because I think you would assume that would be number 1 because of the budget, because of the press. But I mean, some things, man, sneak up and attack you.
And there's no. I think it has a lot to do. There's no real surprise there, right? So
Right.
we kind of already know who's in the Avengers. The big reveal was Josh Brolin. I mean, no disrespect to Josh Brolin, but he's just Josh Brolin, you know. So Elizabeth Olsen's not getting butts in seats, although she's fine, hot, you know. So I don't know. I mean,
I think you hit it right on the head. The surprise factor is that, like, a lot of the news that was broken Comic-Con really wasn't news. It's stuff that people already knew about. They were able just to see it maybe, you know, firsthand or closer. But versus like last year, there was a lot more news I felt that was broken, or like more key.
Yeah.
You know, experiential things that you could see that, hey, oh, this is happening. Oh, wow, surprise. The surprise factor was definitely there last year versus this year.
Like a big surprise, which was very cool, was like the Edge of Tomorrow panel. Like, you know, it's like, oh, we're doing, they didn't know what it was. And then next thing you know, it's Edge of Tomorrow, this crazy movie with Doug Liman and Tom Cruise. And
Right.
Tom Cruise comes out. And, you know, it was like, oh, well, that's something, you know. But, you know, this year, then so Marvel also rolled out the Ant-Man people. Which Paul Rudd, which you knew, and Edgar Wright, who I love as a director, is not on it anymore. He left the project, and there's this other cat who his name is escaping me right this very second. It's directing, but it's got, you know, Michael Douglas and is in it as well, and Evangeline Lilly, and so it looks, you know, it looks promising. But even that doesn't really move the meter for me, like as a reveal. I mean, I'm excited about the movie, but I don't, you know, see Michael Douglas walk out on the stage. That wasn't a surprise for me. That really, like, oh, okay. The thing that was a sort of a disappointment for me was, and there's a lot of stuff happening, but the thing that was, I think I want to talk about really quickly. Interstellar, that was dope at the Warner Brothers presentation. That was, you know, that's the new Christopher Nolan movie with Matthew McConaughey and my girl, whose name, Oscar winner, Anne Hathaway. Thank you. And Anne Hathaway, who that movie looks like, you know, everything Christopher Nolan touches to me is super dope. But have you seen the extended trailer for that yet?
I have not. Oh, yeah, I'm kind of asleep on that one.
Yeah, that one. They had a teaser earlier with just sort of like, you know, teasing, you know, Earth, stuff's bad on Earth, and they've got to go to Earth, and it just seems like a kind of a family drama the way they did the first teaser trailer. But at the very last bit of the trailer, they show that now I've got to go to space, and it ends like that. And you're kind of like, oh, okay. In the new trailer, they spent a lot of time in like, yeah, and kind of like Vim, and it looks like whatever they're doing, I'm all in. I believe it. That was very, very exciting. I don't know, man, but the thing that I was really shocked about, which was kind of like a bummer to me, was the non-Star Wars presence reveal. Like, you know, on the thing, it's like, you know, Fox presentation, or, you know, and I'm like, oh yeah, 20th, this is gonna be it. Right. Like, you know. Run down there and it's like there's no Star Wars. So I really was expecting. I mean, mainly because they're hard at work filming, and they're going to keep it a secret. And frankly, it's Lucasfilm. They don't have to really roll out at Comic-Con because it's friggin' Star Wars.
Of course.
But it would have been nice to. You talk about giving something to the fans.
When you're talking about popular culture, you would expect something like Star Wars of that magnitude to have some presence at Comic-Con.
Yeah, something like give me a teaser. Give me like. I don't know. So anyway, that was a big disappointment for me. I don't know. And then that's really it. There's one story that talks about sort of the fantastic moments, if you will, and you know the coolest moments of Comic-Con. I mean, we hit on most of them. Let's see here. Let me. Oh. Yeah, this is never mind. Yeah, I think we hit on all the moments. I mean, I think that there's no real.
I mean, so what were your personal top, you know, 3? I mean, last year some of the costuming was pretty intricate, and I mean, was there any crazy costumes this year?
Yeah, on my Instagram, I posted at Joe K. Braswell. I saw this dude in the street, this zombie kid, who was like doing the sort of body contortion. There's these 3 zombie kids. They're actually all over any Comic-Con media as far as the best costumes, because they were like zombied out, really cool. These 3 black kids, and like, but this one dude was doing a full body contortion. He's all on my grill, looking all zombie-ish, and he freaked me out.
What about the parties this year? I know last year, a few of them were really good. What about this year?
It's a funny thing. The parties, this is super Hollywood, so I don't even know how to even say this, but I'm kind of over the parties this year. I'm kind of over it. There's the one that's like always really great. The 2 that are the greatest are the Nerd HQ party and the EW party, right? So the Nerd HQ party is still the highlight. It's still incredible. It's fun. It's people are dancing, having fun. It's a real party. Everything else is kind of like a bunch of suits standing around, like holding martini glasses and shoving tacos in their mouth. Like, it's free food and it's free alcohol, but it's not fun. So I kind of gonna have fun, and so I think that we end up the Sharknado 2 part. Let's see, the NBC, the Warner Brothers, the AMC, like nothing was really like jumping off.
That's interesting.
We ended up.
I'm actually surprised by that.
For me, I don't know, because I remember last year I was like the parties, but this year I just felt like I had a lot more fun. We went to the Blue Burrow and listened to some hip hop and drank a bunch of tequila, and then went to some country western bar and did line dancing all night. Not me. But like that was those things were a lot more fun, and hung out with met some great individuals that are and TV people and actors that are on that also opted out of some of the parties and went to go have some fun in the gas lamp. So I don't know. I feel like that it is the gas lamp. So people go there anyway. Like you go there anyway to go to bars and hang out and go to clubs and stuff. So there's a lot to do. And there was also there's one thing I'll say. There is something called SlamCon that happens. This is also a hot tip for Comic-Con. That happens in the Bayfront Hotel, and it's free, and it's not a real official party, but it's in the Odyssey in the Bayfront, and it's kind of like an EW after party, if you will. But everyone ends up there from the EW part, from all the parties in town. Everyone ends up there, and it's free, and that's as good as anything. So
sounds like overall, man. This is an off year for Comic-Con. That's the sense that I get from what I've read, what I've heard from you, what I've listened from other people that have been. Sounds like it's a flat year.
It was flat. It felt very, very flat to me. I wish I was usually excited to come back with all this great Comic-Con news and all the great sights and sounds, but I really don't have much more to report than we saw last year. I feel like that. It's just a gigantic spectacle. So if you haven't been, you should definitely go for the people, the fans, the cosplay. The number one costume I see, which I don't understand, like I see it all, I can't see enough, is Deadpool. Deadpool from Marvel. I don't like, how's Deadpool so popular? I saw like 50 Deadpools. I saw a giant belly Deadpool. I've seen girls as Deadpools. That's probably the number one costume I saw. Zombies. I saw a ton of zombies. That's a lot of arrows this year. A lot of arrow was big this year. A lot of arrows, and a lot of Game of Thrones, a lot of Khaleesi's, of course. So other than that, I don't know. Is what it is.
I guess we can look forward to Comic-Con 2015.
I suppose.
Yeah. Have you ever been to the New York one?
No, I've not been in the New York Comic-Con, and I think that I'm going to go this year, but I don't. I always sort of feel like San Diego was the one and the place to be.
Of course.
I don't know. That's really all I have. There's let's see. We can get into. You want to get into some tech news?
Hey man, it's up to you, sir.
Well, let's hit on a couple things. I do want to hit on. We can get through all this. There's our guy Hannibal. I do want to get into a couple things. I do want to get into this new app for the people talk about the idea of the Uber for pot, if you will. The app that'll allow you to
It's called Ease.
Ease, yes. And that is, I mean, in states California where it's medically legal, in states like Colorado where it's recreationally legal, in Washington, the idea of being able to, on an app, look at these different strains, find these different strains, hit a button, and then, I don't know.
You hit a button and someone delivers
your stuff for you.
The weed to you.
The medicine.
I mean, I think this is retarded, man. Like so many brothers that have been locked up in prison over selling weed, and now you're developing an app where someone can bring you some weed at your doorstep.
Yes,
I think it's very ironic, and that we come to this point where this is even acceptable, or not even heavily criticized. But I think it's funny. I think it's a gimmick.
So
I think the problem with it is the fact that the people who were arrested beforehand for the weed dealing are not being released.
Right.
Because people are now in jail from before doing this, while it's going on right now.
That's a good point. That's a great point, Stephen. Because I was, I've been in Colorado working on a project that is, cannabis related, if you will, and I actually had the opportunity to see this, being pitched in this sort of like Shark Tank environment, and it was something that, the people in the room like, of course. And it's all these like, yay, because it's like now we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry as this thing is recreation legalized in Colorado alone, let alone when it gets to be legalized. And I'm all for it, but you make a good point. Both of you make a good point. I mean, but I'm asking you, Akili, is this an issue for you because you're anti-legalization, or issue because you feel like
it's not really an issue for me? I just think it's just, to me, I think it's a gimmick. I don't see people. Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm not akin to this weed culture in the sense that I would purchase weed from my iPhone.
Right.
Like that's not the culture I was raised in. You purchase weed from the homie down the street.
Right.
So I mean, it's just a foreign way of looking at it. Like, I don't really purchase anything of consumption on my phone and have someone bring it to me. Like anything.
But you only purchase weed from the homie down the street because you can't go get it at 7-Eleven.
Okay.
So in a world where you can get it at 7-Eleven on your app.
But if I can get it at 7-Eleven, why not just go to 7-Eleven?
Well, I know. My point is that it's the question I'm asking you: are you resistant to the laws and sort of the things? You sound like a I think you sound like me, like an old dude right now. Like, oh no, I remember the days.
No, not at all. I just think it's audacious. That's audacious because I know a lot of people personally that have been locked up for just having weed, not even selling it, just having it in their pocket. And now, you can go online and purchase it, like through your phone, through your smartphone. Like it's crazy. But I guess, things evolve.
Right.
Policies evolve. And,
right.
We're in the time and space where marijuana is a part of our culture, and it will continue to be even more so. So, I think a lot of people, and in terms of their value system and just how they operate, they'll have to adapt to it because I don't think it's going anywhere.
Right.
So.
Well, I actually like the idea because I like it as a business model for those people who don't want to go out to actually go to the homie around the way or go out to the dispensary, even when they make a dispensary like some of these companies in Colorado are trying to do, make it like a Starbucks or like a Barnes and Noble or like a Apple store, which is the way these things are going. But even still, like people don't want to do that. Like so. I think it's a decent business model. I'm 1,000% up on what you're saying and what Lemieux said. Is I think that there needs to be, every time this stuff is legalized and people are making these giant have these capitalistic opportunities based on it, you have to be able to look back, and the people who weren't so fortunate and were trying to be capitalists in their own way, that are locked up for nonviolent crimes, primarily black folks and brown folks, like they should be released, or those laws should be lifted. It's almost like it does make you angry to live in a society where it's like, well, it's illegal for all these years, we're gonna lock you guys up for specifically war on drugs, but now it's illegal. Okay, now we're gonna make a whole bunch of money off it. You guys stay in jail. Like that's what it feels, So that there is something to that, and I think that needs to be addressed.
Again, we talked about marijuana on the show a few times. Just the fusing of tech and marijuana. I think it will, we'll begin to see more interesting products and ways of distribution that we haven't seen. And I think that's what's cool about technology, that you could fuse it with anything. But I think with this idea, I think it has a lot of inherent problems. Like, how are you going to protect the person that's delivering the weed.
Well,
like if I order weed from whatever company, from Ease, they deliver it to my doorstep, and someone gets them before they get to my doorstep. Like that, I see that happening all the time.
or if they get to your doorstep, maybe you just jack them.
But I'm sure but it's not really a jack if I pay for it on my phone.
That's true. That's exactly right. The other, just really quickly, because it's slightly off topic, but I want to mention it. In my sort of visit to Denver and this weed related project that I think we're both working on, is that what I'm learning is the legalization of recreational marijuana is one thing, but there's got to be a whole sort of business infrastructure that's built around this. So there's all these businesses that I never even thought of existing that has to be formed and created and cultivated just to be able to support the idea of selling weed. And one of them is a security, like it's called Canna Securities, guys who walk around in these giant armored cars, like fully SWAT team trained dudes who do that, because you got a lot of product going from place to place. That's a good point. Like this is so how do you transport that stuff? It's just like transporting money. So there's a whole company that's rolling out armored cars and armored personnel and guards and And it's just interesting to see all these other ancillary businesses form around what's happening with weed.
Same kind of parallel, during Prohibition or before, and maybe a little time after. You had armored guys,
Gangsters,
whatever, when they would deliver, alcohol or whatever.
Right.
I mean, but now alcohol is just whatever, just like cigarettes, whatever. I think
Right.
in the future, weed will be whatever.
Right. You won't need an armored, person to deliver a truck full of weed. Like you don't need an armored person to deliver a truck full of Jack Daniels.
No.
So that's a good point. That's actually an excellent point. Well, I think that's all we got time for. We have time for one tech story, a bunch of Comic-Con, and I think that's it. Is anything? What do you? Let me ask you. What are you nerding out on and geeking out this week on? Anything?
And I've been heavy in the cave, man. So my geekage level is pretty low right now. But I guess this would be kind of like a geeking out. Like I'm working on this project, the Shaw Brothers. Pretty much, I'm editing. All these kung fu classic films from like 36 Chambers of Shaolin and down. There's 750 of them. So I'm editing these trailers, and like, man, I'm just so heavy to Shaolin right now, man. You don't want to mess with me right
36 Chambers.
I got a mean punch right now, man.
Let me ask you this just really quickly. I'm going through all those Shaw Brothers movies, because some of them are dope and some of them are like, are you watching stuff that's like punches don't connect? You can see the wires.
No, I mean,
or is it all pretty like
the thing with the Shaw Brothers is they were one of the first movie production companies to produce these kung fu movies without wires.
Right.
Most of their stunts were actually done by the actors.
Oh, okay.
And so that's what makes
you
them
put me up on game right now.
That's what makes them unique, is that a lot of the choreography and just the artistry that was put into how they directed the movies, like it's authentic.
Right.
It's not the bells and whistles that we see with a lot of karate and kung fu movies today.
Look at you on the Shaw Encyclopedia. You're like, actually, truth be told, I didn't know. I mean, I know the Shaw Brothers are fantastic, and they're big fans of Tarantino's a huge fan, and other those, and so that's a good gig. I'm still, I gotta tell you, I'm all about all day long. I tell you what, I am geeking out. What I'm not geeking out on. I am geeking out on Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm going to see tonight. I'm very, very, very excited about that. I mean, they had a mild presence at Comic-Con, and very excited about that. And we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was
an amazing film.
Amazing.
I loved it
from a technological standpoint, and just in every standpoint. It's a really, really great film, and a really good way sort of continuing this new franchise. Like, I want to see the next chapter. What happens to Caesar and all of them next? I mean, like, if you haven't seen that movie, please
that's a
go see that
definite
film.
Go see.
And go see it in everything, Atmos, whatever, Dolby, digital, flip, 3D, whatever you got. But what I'm not geeking out on, I'm gonna give an anti-shout out to The Leftovers. No. Like, I just, people love Damon Lindelof, and this whole slow burn, this whole watching 7, 8 episodes before anything happens for some payoff that may happen at the top of next season. Like, I'm very, very frustrated as a viewer watching multiple episodes of something, and I feel like at the end of every episode, I'm just watching a mood. I don't need. I get that they have a long time to tell the story. It's HBO. Hey man, we'll get to it. 9 episodes, 10 episodes. Just keep watching. I don't want to keep watching. I'm over it. So I'm invested. So I'm like debating whether to pull the plug. But I'm really not happy with Leftovers. Are you watching it all?
In a more tech news, because that's more TV.
Yep.
I want to talk to you guys about this real quick.
Yes,
it
of
was
course.
an interview one of our hosts, Kristen Carroll from AfterBuzz TV, did at Comic-Con. And I don't know if you've heard about this, but it's called the Marvel Experience. And let me see what you think about
Hey everyone,
Rick Lee.
I'm Kristen Carroll, and I am sitting with Rick Light. He's part of Hero Ventures, and you guys have this amazing project coming out called the Marvel Experience. Tell me a little bit about it.
We couldn't be more excited. What we're doing, for the most part, is creating a new content distribution vehicle, things that have never been done before. It's a 50,000 square foot mobile domed complex with the Marvel characters that's going to be touring the country 3 or 4 weeks in each city. It's got so many things that haven't been done, we couldn't be more excited. We have the first 4D traveling motion ride. If you've been to Universal Studios or Disneyland, you've been on these motion rides. We have the fully articulated chairs, and obviously we have Iron Man and Spider-Man, all these wonderful characters. So you're going to be going on a ride with us for quite a while. We also have the first stereoscopic 360-degree dome. And that is basically puts you in a hologram. You know, when you watch a 3D movie, stuff comes off the screen at you. Well, stuff's coming above, behind, all over. And what we realized when we set it up, it's the first audience experience where the audience isn't all facing the same way.
I did see that, Lemmy. I did see that. There's a thing. There's a sort of a mini immersive booth there as well. I mean, I got mixed feelings on it, actually, personally. I got mixed feelings. I think if they can deliver on all the hype that they're talking about from a technological standpoint and have this big dome and have this multiple experience that everyone's experiencing and all these things, and I think it could be something that is really interesting and dope, but I feel like it's just... The cynical side of me just feels like it's these guys who are savvy businessmen who license a lot of the Marvel stuff and were able to, utilize some technology and spend a bunch of money and do this sort of traveling Cirque du Soleil meets I don't know what around town. I'd be interested to see when it comes to town what it looks like, how much it costs, if it's worth it. But I'm a little skeptical. What did you think, Steven? No.
Oh, I thought you were asking Akili.
Oh, no. I mean, he didn't see it. What do you think of that concept, Akili?
I mean, I think the concept, it sounds cool, but I didn't get a chance to see it. Like, is it similar to like the Walking Dead experience that we did the year before?
I mean, it's traveling. The Walking Dead experience, for those who don't know, is a giant obstacle course at Petco Park where zombies chase you around through a bunch of obstacles, and it's incredible. You can be a zombie or you can be a human, and it's incredible. That is dope. This is more of like a traveling gigantic dome where inside here you have multiple Marvel experiences that are technology based. So there's a motion ride, like you said. There's the dome where everything's in 3D around you. You want to have that experience, and it's just sort of like an opportunity to sort of capitalize on what Marvel's doing.
I mean, I definitely think any experiential, marketing or any way to fuse these comic book characters with something that's experiential would be a good idea. I mean, I think especially at events like Comic-Con, like Pete, that's effective. And I know that we were supposed to cover today, like in terms of Oculus Rift and how a lot of ads are being used with the new technology to be able to present new content to fans, to consumers. I think this is kind of like along in that same vein. Like, hey, you get to experience your favorite character almost like in a different way. So I mean, I think for the super fans, which Comic-Con is, like, it's perfect.
Yeah, I guess it's more cynical side of me. It feels like that. This is just some guys capitalizing on the Marvel thing with some money and throwing some technology at it and trying to capitalize. I just hope that it feels like they're what the problem is, especially with that and this product, it feels like I'm being sold something as opposed to, this is for you, fan. I'm curating this for you. It's like, hey, you like Marvel? I got some Marvel shit for you. So it just feels a little schmarmy. I don't know. One last, Lemmy, what do you think before we get out?
I don't know. I think it's cool as a traveling thing that moves town to town. I think it'll be a good chance for people who can't go to Comic-Con to get that experience that's kind of technological and puts them in a place different from their own, especially since it's 90 minutes long.
Right.
It's like experiencing a movie, kind of.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll see. I'll reserve judgment until I see the whole thing up and running, and I will definitely check it out because I'm a big fat sucker. Akili, where can they find you?
You can find me at Akili Shine, AKILISHINE on Instagram and Twitter. What about yourself?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Joe K. Braswell. Anything yet coming up you want to talk about?
Nah, man.
Okay, just the Shaws. Okay. That's it for me. We will see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us on Geek Nerd Tech.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.
Thanks for watching Black Hollywood Live on YouTube. For more in-depth interviews and news, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion in the comment section below here. See you soon, everyone. Bye.